there, and a very warm welcome to this edition of WION Dispatch, getting you ground reports and analysis on all of our top stories over the next few minutes. First, a quick check on the top headlines at this hour.
There is still some sanity prevailing in Pakistan, and some people who think that this was wrong, we're not all the same.
WION's Pakistan Bureau Chief Taha Siddiqui, the only Indian channel reporter who covered the Jadhav family meeting, expresses disappointment with Pakistan media's behavior but clarifies, don't paint us all with the same brush. Indian Parliament slams Pakistan for insulting Kulbhushan Jadhav's family during their meeting in Islamabad. The Pakistan Army insists it will not compromise on the jailed Indian, praises the media that hounded them. Massive tragedy in Afghanistan. At least 48 people killed in multiple explosions at a Shiite cultural center in Kabul. ISIS claims responsibility. Iran hits back at the United States. Iranian parliament declares Jerusalem as the capital of Palestine as it rallies the Muslim world against the Trump order.
I beg to move for leave to introduce a bill to protect the rights of married Muslim women and to prohibit divorce by pronouncing triple talaq.
A landmark move towards women's empowerment. Bill to criminalize instant divorce moved in Indian Parliament. It makes triple talaq a non-bailable offence with imprisonment up to 3 years. India stepped up its diplomatic charge against Pakistan over the treatment meted out to the Kulbhushan Jadhav family during their visit to Islamabad. India's External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj used the stage of Parliament to attack Pakistani authorities amid cries of shame by fellow parliamentarians. The minister told the parliamentarians that the Indian government has registered its protest before the Pakistani government through a note verbal. The Indian External Affairs Minister began her criticism by questioning the behavior of Pakistani media towards the Jadhav family.
मुलाकात के बाद जो कार श्री जाधव के परिवार और भारतीय राजनयिक को ले जाने के लिए दी गई थी, उसे जानबूझकर रोककर रखा गया ताकि मीडिया को परेशान करने का एक और मौका मिल सके, वो और व्यंग्यात्मक टिप्पणियां कर सकें और तरह तरह के कटाक्ष करके जाधव की मां और पत्नी को तंग कर सकें.
After that, Swaraj attacked Islamabad for forcing the Jadhav family to change their clothes and remove their ornaments.
बैठते ही कुलभूषण ने मुझसे कहा, बाबा कैसे हैं? क्योंकि मेरे माथे पे बिंदी और मेरे गले में मंगलसूत्र ना होने के कारण उसे ये शक हो गया कि शायद उसके पीछे से कोई अशुभ घट गया.
The minister also attacked Pakistan for now not allowing the family to talk to Kulbhushan in their native language of Marathi. She also countered the shoe theory put forward by Islamabad.
एमिरेट्स जैसी फ्लाइट में जो दुबई से इस्लामाबाद तक सफर कर सकी, जहां पूरा सिक्योरिटी चेक हुआ, वहां किसी को रिकॉर्डर नजर नहीं आया, किसी को चिप नजर नहीं आई, किसी को. लेकिन पाकिस्तान में पहुंचने के बाद, और अगर उसमें चिप थी तो ये जो इतना बड़ा मीडिया का तमाशा खड़ा कर रखा था, उसी समय दिखाना चाहिए था कि इसके अंदर ये चिप है. लेकिन अब शरारत करके दुष्प्रचार कर रहे हैं. लेकिन मैं कहती हूं, इट इज एन एब्सर्डिटी बियॉन्ड मेजर.
Let's go straight across now to our senior correspondent Ramesh Ramachandran joining us from the newsroom for more on this. Ramesh, as anticipated, India making the next move in this heated back and forth that's been taking place between India and Pakistan over the Kulbhushan Jadhav row, now sending out its strongest criticism of the manner in which that meeting was carried out and arranged through that note verbal.
Indeed, Molly, Ms. Swaraj making an emotionally charged statement both in the upper house of parliament and the lower house of parliament this morning, suggesting thereby that Pakistan reneged on some of the commitments and modalities associated with the Kulbhushan Jadhav family's meeting with him in Islamabad. But crucially, Molly, what Ms. Swaraj also meant and suggested in so many words was that if Pakistan had accepted and adhered to those commitments and this meeting would have gone without any hiccups, then the relationship could have been salvaged going forward. But now it seems to be on a very slippery slope, and she says, and she indicated that this might not bode well for the bilateral relationship. And that, to my mind, is the biggest takeaway from all of this.
And the understanding that India and Pakistan had in the run-up to this meeting has been violated is what the minister has categorically put forth, but also breaking down and hitting back at each of those arguments put forth by Pakistan during that strong statement, Ramesh. Also punching holes in that shoe theory. Saying that if in case there was any wrongdoing on part of the Kulbhushan Jadhav family that could have been detected way before, or it could have been highlighted through the media personnel present after that meeting or in the run-up to that meeting. So why wait several hours to then try and showcase that there was some wrongdoing on part of the family?
Indeed, and Ms. Swaraj there picking holes in the Pakistani claims on the issue of alleged meddling with the shoes that Kulbhushan Jadhav's wife wore for that meeting. And she went on to say that this claim was not only absurd but also does not hold any water, given that this is the same shoe which she wore on two different flights, one which took her from Mumbai to Dubai and from Dubai onward to Islamabad. And the so-called meddling with the shoe was not detected by any of the security checks at any of those two airports. Also the fact that she was returning back home to India, and there was no reason why Pakistan could not have given back her shoes, especially given the fact that the meeting with Kulbhushan Jadhav was over. So clearly there is a lot more that's happening behind the scenes as we speak, and the Indian fears are that this Pakistan might use this in some way or the other in the next hearing in the ICJ when it comes up before the justices there.
And this PR stunt that Pakistan has tried to cover up all the more with those statements. Stay with me, Ramesh. Let's go straight across to Islamabad as well, where our Pakistan Bureau Chief Taha Siddiqui is joining us from for more on this. Taha, you have been getting us the minute-by-minute developments as they have been only escalating in the back and forth that we've seen between India and Pakistan. But help us understand the necessity for the army to step in today and try and clear the air and in a way only reiterate what Pakistan has been saying over the last few days.
Definitely we saw today that the military spokesperson had a presser and a briefing with the journalists present in Islamabad, and in that presser, basically in the Q&A which came after once the presser was done, similar sort of questions were asked with regards to the criticism that was raised or the points that were raised by the Ministry of External Affairs in India, and to respond to that, the DG ISPR, the Director General for the ISPR, which is the military media wing, said that basically the whole point was that the meeting was done on humanitarian grounds, and he rejected that there was any international pressure. So we heard kind of the same similar statements coming out of them, and then they went on to say that talked about the fact that consular access is not yet provided and will not be provided, and then repeated the accusations and the allegations and and for which Kulbhushan Jadhav has been convicted for. So it was more in a Q&A session that the response came, particularly because some journalists asked questions. One of the journalists even asked questions about the shoes of the woman who were visiting, and how one of them did not get the shoes returned, and what was happening with that. But there was no response to that as of yet. From what we understand, the last thing that the Foreign Office said was that they have been sent for a forensic investigation, but nothing as yet has come out of that.
And in this back and forth, Taha, Pakistan clearly on a sticky ground when it comes to trying to establish its claim of this being a meeting purely on humanitarian grounds. Clearly, it's losing points when it comes to backing that claim in that rebuttal also that's been given out by the Indian Minister Sushma Swaraj today. But also speaking a little bit about the media and the way those offensive questions were hurled at the family family of Kulbhushan Jadhav, something that the Pakistani establishment chose to thank the journalists for, and something that you have also been highlighting since you were present when those questions were hurled at the family.
Definitely. I mean, the way, the media carried out its responsibilities that particular day was quite shocking to see that the journalist community that was present there did not ask questions, but instead chose to hurl sort of allegations and taunts at the family while the family was exiting the building. And then later on, we saw the Foreign Office thanking the media for acting responsibly, even though, in my opinion, the Foreign Office should have actually reprimanded the media, or at least told them that, their behavior was not up to par or as per, ethical reporting standards. Not just that, today when the ISPR briefing has happened, then also the DG ISPR, the Director General for ISPR for the Military Media Wing, General Asif Ghafoor, he also thanked media once again for saying that it is good that the media did not carry the Indian version of how things went down. Now, we've been covering both sides of the story, what Pakistan has been saying, what India has been saying, but at the end of the day, there is a lot of censorship when it comes to the Pakistani media, when it comes to versions and coverage of how India is talking about something. For example, the Ministry of External Affairs, points that they raise and the criticism that they raise, it made very little press coverage here. And today also the authorities here were seen thanking the media for not carrying out those statements.
All right, we're going to leave it there for the moment. Our Pakistan Bureau Chief Taha Siddiqui joining us with the latest on that developing story. But that's a sign of further trouble coming in for Pakistan, and getting you more on that. After shaming Pakistan in the UK, Baloch outfit now has launched a Shame Pakistan campaign in the United States over its human rights abuses in Balochistan. The World Baloch Organization has put up half a dozen giant billboards at the Times Square in New York City with the slogan of Free Balochistan and highlighting Pakistan's atrocities on the Baloch people. The giant billboard will remain at the Times Square till New Year's Eve. The billboards highlight Pakistan's kidnappings, torture and massacres in Balochistan and the Baloch people's right to self-determination. Important to highlight here, just 2 months back, the World Baloch Organization also ran a Free Balochistan campaign in the UK when it put up advertisements on London taxis and buses. However, the advertisements were later removed following pressure on the UK government. Let's go straight across now to WION's associate editor Palki Sharma Upadhyay, who's joining us for more on this. Palki, Pakistan's deniability when it comes to these human rights violations, of course, remains a constant. But in terms of the international pressure, which is looming large through now these latest billboards cropping up in none other than the symbolic Times Square in New York City.
Yes, the billboards, first those yellow taxis which are an essential part of life in New York. They also carried the Free Baloch slogan. We've seen protests in Geneva, we've seen similar protests in London and now in New York. The aim is twofold. One, to of course embarrass Pakistan on the global stage. Two, to create public awareness about what the Baloch say is their persecution and ethnic cleansing in their home state of Balochistan by the Pakistan government in collusion with the Chinese, who are trying to acquire land, taking away their jobs, making them a minority in their own home state, in their own province, to push the CPEC agenda, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, and the human rights violations at the hands of the Pakistani establishment. These are issues that the Baloch want to highlight at a global stage. The other demand that they make through this public awareness is to put pressure on the government in Washington to stop giving military and other economic assistance to Pakistan, saying that that money goes into the wrong hands and that should be stopped. This is very significant because WION, Molly, you would remember, has independently done stories from Balochistan where we know that there are forced disappearances, that people are being persecuted at the hands of the establishment, and that is something that the world needs to see, and this is an effort in that direction.
Certainly. We're going to leave it there for the moment, though, Palki. Appreciate you joining us with all of those perspectives. Moving on for now, the Indian government has introduced a draft of the Triple Talaq Bill in the Parliament today, seeking to criminalize the practice of triple talaq or instant divorce among the Muslim community. The draft bill was tabled in the Parliament by Union Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad. He quoted the Supreme Court defending the Triple Talaq Bill. Let's take a listen in.
I would like to mention paragraph 199 of the judgment of Justice Khair. It's very important because we are discussing a bill. We therefore hereby direct the Union of India to consider appropriate legislation, particularly with reference to triple biddat, talaq-e-biddat. We hope and expect that the contemplated legislation will also take into consideration advances in Muslim personal law, Shariat, as have been corrected by legislation the world over, even by theocratic Islamic states.
Some of the key points of the draft bill are as follows. The violators can be imprisoned for a term which may extend to 3 years. The victim will be allowed to approach to the court to seek a subsistence allowance for herself and the minor children. She will also be entitled to seek the custody of her children. The bill, which was approved by the Union Cabinet earlier this month, was prepared in the backdrop of the Supreme Court's verdict that made the practice of triple talaq illegal. The practice is banned in 19 countries, including India's neighbours Bangladesh, Pakistan and Indonesia. Indonesia has the world's largest Muslim population. Let's go straight across now to our correspondent Khalid Shah, who's joining us from New Delhi. Khalid, you have been getting a sense of what the opposition has also been stating on this contentious issue of triple talaq. Get us through what exactly has been the stance of the opposition all throughout now that the bill has been tabled.
Well, yes, indeed, the bill was tabled in the Parliament today. The principal opposition party, Congress, has clearly stated that they will support the bill, but they have raised certain logical issues that they find in the bill that need to be changed. For instance, they say on the issue of maintenance, if a man who has been found guilty of giving triple talaq is behind the bars, how will he be able to pay for the maintenance? That is one issue that Congress party has raised. The other leaders of Congress party have also questioned the criminality angle which comes in the triple talaq, saying that the family law should be kept out of the domain of criminality. But not just that, other political parties have vocally opposed this particular bill, which include AIA, DMK, also Asaduddin Owaisi's party, AIMIM, who has categorically stated that this bill is against the fundamental rights of Muslims, and Muslims have not been consulted, I beg your pardon, in the drafting of this bill. Other political parties which are very significant in the party have also in a way opposed the bill. But the principal opposition party, Congress, really coming in support of the bill means that the bill will be passed in Lok Sabha. But the big battle for the government will be in the Rajya Sabha, where the Congress party has numbers larger and it could actually corner the government on certain amendments that they would want to pass. Also important to mention here that AIDMK, a party which has been supporting the NDA alliance in the Rajya Sabha, they have facilitated certain bills which were passed by the government, is now against this bill. Also, BJD, which is another political party which has been supporting the government in passing certain laws, is also against the bill. And that's why today the Parliamentary Affairs Minister did say that they have started a process to really create a consensus regarding this bill in the Rajya Sabha.
Right.
It does look like that the bill will clearly go through Lok Sabha, but there could be some sort of a hassle in Rajya Sabha which the government has to really maneuver through by ensuring consensus across party lines.
And many have called this a huge leap forward when it comes to the contentious triple talaq practice and abolishing the same. We're going to leave it there for the moment. Khalid Shah getting us the very latest from New Delhi on that story. We're now getting you through what conflicts around the world have meant for children. Children have become frontline targets, used as human shields, killed and maimed and recruited to fight. Children are being targeted and exposed to attacks and brutal violence in their homes, schools and playgrounds across conflict zones in the world. In a new report which highlights the magnitude at which children have been bearing the brunt of these conflict zones, UNICEF urges that such brutality cannot be the new normal. In South Sudan, which has grappled with conflict since December 2013, and as a result, a collapsing economy and famine, more than 19,000 children have been recruited into armed forces and armed groups. Over 2,300 children have been killed or injured. In Somalia, 1,740 cases of child recruitment were reported in just the first 10 months of this year. In Yemen, nearly 1,000 days of fighting left at least 5,000 children dead or injured. More than 11 million children need humanitarian assistance. And out of 1.8 million children suffering from malnutrition, over 385,000 are severely malnourished. In Afghanistan, almost 700 children were killed in the first 9 months of this year alone. In the Kasai region of the Democratic Republic of Congo, violence has driven 850,000 children from their homes. An estimated 350,000 children have suffered from severe acute malnutrition. In northeast Nigeria and Cameroon, Boko Haram has forced at least 135 children to act as suicide bombers. This is almost 5 times the number in 2016. In Iraq and Syria, children have reportedly been used as human shields through the intense bombardment and violence. In Myanmar, more recently, Rohingya children suffered and witnessed shocking widespread violence as they were attacked and driven from their homes in Rakhine State. In the same breath, UNICEF has called on all parties to abide by their obligations under international law to immediately end violations against children and the targeting of civilian infrastructure.